can I just call myself a health consultant and, not worry about all these telemedicine licensing issues? The answer is no, and there's a likelihood that you'll throw yourself in jail at the same time. So we're going to dig into that, why it's not a good idea to be a health consultant and practice medicine across state lines. But before we do, please take a moment to hit subscribe. It really helps out the channel and allows me to bring this content to you for free on YouTube and my website, functionallawyer.com. Really appreciate it. So I must get this question 3 times a week. And I'm giving out the information now for free, when normally I get these questions either in my paid consults or as part of my membership program, although my members all know this by now. But there are a number of, let's say, education and business training programs out there that are purporting to teach doctors and other healthcare professionals that they can practice anywhere in the country, and sometimes they promise you can practice anywhere in the world if you call yourself a consultant. And I even say you can have this fancy consultant agreement that even though I'm a doctor, wink, wink, I'm only going to be a consultant for you and a health coach. Sometimes they'll call it a health coach as well. The problem is if that doctor or that training program is teaching these doctors to have that consultant contract and then wink, wink, I'm just a consultant, I'm not your doctor, but then they go ahead and they order tests, they diagnose or they treat, prevent illnesses, ailments, conditions, symptoms, whether or not you're prescribing prescription medication, whether or not you are taking insurance. It does not matter to the licensing boards. It does not matter to the medical boards. And it does not matter to the prosecutors in those states. If you harm somebody and you didn't have a license and they look at what you actually did what you're doing is practicing medicine, again, it doesn't matter if you're using prescription drugs. It doesn't matter if you're inside insurance, outside insurance, sometimes even whether you get paid or whether you're doing it for free. If they see that you're practicing medicine, it's against the law. So it opens you up to civil liability. That is liability from a tort lawsuit by the patient can sue you. It also opens you up to civil liability from the state. There may be fines. There may be actions that will reverberate to your state of licensure so that the license in your state has a negative effect on it, an inquiry at least. But more importantly, it's a criminal offense to practice medicine without a license in every state in the union. Now, starts out as a misdemeanor, and that's if you do nothing wrong. It's a misdemeanor to practice medicine, even if nobody gets hurt. But if somebody gets hurt, or, if you've been practicing long enough, there's usually a disgruntled spouse, disgruntled child of an adult patient, or parent of a younger patient that either may not be on board altogether. And so they're like, who is this person? They're a consultant, what's happening? And they're just bilking you out of all this money, ordering tests and purporting to be a consultant, but really, what are they doing for you? There's usually one. And if you practice long enough, you'll encounter that. But so even if you don't hurt anybody, it's still a misdemeanor if that person decides, hey, I'm gonna, report this person to the Better Business Bureau or to the medical board of the state in which they live or your own state. So the risk is there. Whether the prosecution is there or not, that's another story. So when I tell this to people live, they always ask me, well, what about Dr. So-and-so? What about this person over here? They're telling me I can be a consultant across state lines, or they are practicing across state lines and saying that's fine because they're calling themselves a consultant. Well, when I answer that question, here's what I say. In Florida, the speed limit for most highways is 70 miles an hour. Now, it's illegal for you to drive 71 miles per hour on the highway. Does that stop anyone? No. The flow of traffic is typically 80 to 85 miles per hour in the middle and left lanes, right? And we can all pass by state troopers and they're not likely to pull you over until you get above 83 miles an hour. But even so, driving in the middle lane at 83 miles per hour, you might see an import or another car or a motorcycle even zoom past you almost like you're standing still. And that person is going 95, 100 miles an hour, right? They haven't been caught yet. You haven't been caught yet, even though you're breaking the law. But that doesn't mean that the cop can't pull you over. And it doesn't mean the cop won't pull them over eventually as well. Same thing happens with this. Yes, there are lots of people out there that are illegally doing things, from health coaches ordering tests and basically practicing medicine without a license, to medical doctors and DOs practicing across state lines, which is practicing medicine without a license. You're the same in the eyes of the state. Even though you're way more credentialed than this health coach is, you are both doing the same illegal activity with the same consequences. So what can you do? One, focus on the millions of people in your state. You can now practice telemedicine. You have been able to for a while in your state. You can establish care in almost every state via telemedicine, assuming it's appropriate with the standard of care for that patient and for that condition. You can continue follow-ups via telemedicine in your state. Great, no problem. You only have the same 168 hours in the week as the rest of us do. So if you're seeing, you only have a limited capacity to see so many patients, right? Another thing you can do, get an out-of-state telemedicine license, whether that's a full license. So you apply to the medical board, you submit all the documents, you use like the Interstate Medical Licensure Compact to apply for full licenses, or you purchase my book on how to obtain telemedicine licenses for now 15 states, but it's growing by the month. It seems like it was 11 just 6 months ago. So you can register and get telemedicine licenses that allow you to practice in other states. One of which I think I already mentioned is Florida. We get 22 million people. So between your state, my state of Florida, you can have, let's say 30 million people right there in order to draw 500 patients a year. That's a high number for me. For one provider to see 500 patients a year, that would be a lot. So you can do all that safely and legally without putting yourself in criminal liability land. So please, 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 I'm cutting the teeth out of why you would want to talk to me directly, but if you want to talk to me directly and figure out the ways you can affect people's health and change lives across state lines, you can do it safely. I just listed all the reasons. No, signing up for that course or signing up for that mentorship with that person who is calling themselves consultant will not change it. I went to the Merchant Marine Academy over there, and the motto was acta non verba, which is deeds, not words. So it doesn't matter what you call yourself, what you say to the patient as far as the relationship goes. If you're practicing medicine, you're practicing medicine. If the actions you do are medicine, you're no different than that health coach who's ordering labs, running tests, creating protocols when they're way out of their league. So I know there's a lot of animosity towards health coaches that do that from the MD ranks. And if you're calling yourself a consultant across state lines and you're just practicing medicine without a license, you're no different. So find a safe and compliant way to expand your practice, one of which is to create an online course. Come talk to me about different ways you can get telemedicine licenses across the country. I'll put links to the telemedicine book below, but I have step-by-step instructions on how to obtain those licenses, and creating an online education only course without live interaction is another way you can help people across the country, across the world. And I'll put a link below too. I've got a tutorial on how to create a course in a day. So check out that video and check out the book, schedule a time to talk to me. And if you found this helpful, please take a second just to hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you guys in the next video.